Honestly, they might be here for a minute with the Cardinals and the Commanders coming up on the schedule, and if they don't, then torpedo. Welcome to the jungle, everyone. I'm Kyle Phelps, and we've got a lot of movement this week. Upset after upset, former contenders looking highly suspect, and teams that we thought were tanking making huge impacts on the NFL landscape. We're going to break down all that action in the power rankings this week, but before we get into that, I just ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It'll help my channel grow, and it helps you know when I put out all of my videos. We are only 7 subscribers away from 200, y'all. Let's go get it! So for all the new people, the way that we do these rankings is in a tier list format. We're going to briefly go over the bottom 3 categories, and then we're going to move on and take a bit of a deeper look into the top 14 teams. Why? Well, those are the teams that I'm currently expecting to make it into the playoffs. So the bottom 3 categories, we'll briefly go over that. Some highlights include the Steelers, who are just an absolute disaster right now. The Browns, who I kind of feel like they're coming back into their old ways at this point, and that's problematic. And I mean, we'll see what happens when Deshaun gets back, but right now, I'm not seeing a whole lot to be excited about. And then the Packers, who I don't even view as a playoff team right now, after considering them Super Bowl contenders earlier this year. And I have them in playoff hunt because I think they could get back there. I do still think that they have what it takes, but they got to show me before I put any sort of belief in them. So you can argue with me about the bottom 3 categories if you want, but ultimately most of those teams really don't matter right now. They just kind of are who they are. The season is probably a bust for the vast majority of them at this point. So let's go ahead and move on to the playoff hopefuls. We won't spend too much time on the Dolphins and the Bears because I need to see a little bit more from each of them before I really buy what I'm seeing as legit. So we're going to start off with number 14 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's 2 weeks in a row that they've lost to arguably the worst team in football, at least at the time. Almost makes you kind of wonder if Tom Brady's personal problems at home are starting to spill out onto the football field. I don't know, that's just speculation. But at 13, you've got the San Francisco 49ers, who I doubt are going to make much noise in January if they make it after what we saw against the Chiefs. That was hard to watch. Number 12, it's the first place Seattle Seahawks. I see you, Geno Smith. And the crazy thing is the Seahawks are going to get a good draft pick anyway because of that big trade with Russell Wilson. They got all those draft picks from the Broncos, and the Broncos are terrible. Finally, at number 11, I've got the Tennessee Titans. I don't totally buy this team right now, but they are leading their division. It's a very bad division, but they're leading it nonetheless, and I mean, you got to give them some props for, at least getting to that point. Moving on, we've got the Contenders, and believe it or not, the goddamn New York Jets are making an appearance this week. The crazy thing is Zach Wilson isn't even good. Like, their quarterback situation's rough no matter who's in at quarterback. And yet, the Jets look damn near unstoppable right now anyway. I know they had a rough game against the Broncos, but they can win high-scoring games too. It's just like they've kind of shown both sides. They can kind of beat anybody, and you just don't know when it's going to end. It kind of reminds me of the Bengals last year. Number 9, it's the Los Angeles Rams, who remain in place while on a bye week. Number 8, it's the Baltimore Ravens, who I'm actually moving down a spot after barely beating the Cleveland Browns, and really they only won because the Browns did the Browns thing that they always do. I'm starting to see some cracks in Baltimore, and while they're technically holding on to the lead of the AFC North via tiebreaker, I don't think they're going to stay there very long. Because of that, I've got the number 7 team as the Cincinnati Bengals, who I think are now officially back. Can they learn the lessons of last year and avoid getting sloppy after finding some success? I mean, you hope. We'll see over the next couple of weeks, though. Time will only tell. But as of right now, I do think that they're poised to be, making a bit of a run. Finally, at number 6, it's the Dallas Cowboys. They put the Lions away this week, holding a formerly high-scoring offense to only 6 points. And now that Dak is back, I think the Cowboys are officially a problem until proven otherwise. Alright, finally, let's go ahead and move on to the Super Bowl contenders. The Minnesota Vikings are staying at number 5 after their bye week, and honestly, they might be here for a minute with the Cardinals and the Commanders coming up on the schedule, and if they don't, then torpedo. But they've got a gauntlet after that. I imagine they'll be exposed in a few weeks, but for right now, they're going to stay here. At number 4, it's the New York Giants. Imagine if this team had a great quarterback, right? Dear God, they might be Super Bowl favorites if they had somebody better than Daniel Jones. Like, imagine if, like, you know, the Russell Wilson the Broncos thought they were getting was in Denver. That would be insane. Imagine if, you know, the Lamar Jackson rumors are true. Next year, yikes, man. Brian Daboll is a legend just for doing what he's done right now alone. You want to talk about teams that remind me of the Bengals, the Jets, and the Giants. The Chiefs are going to stay at number 3 after beating the hell out of the 49ers. The only reason I can't really move them up is because my number 1 and number 2 teams were both on bye this week, and I'm not going to move them back because nothing bad happened to them. So, I mean, that's the Eagles at number 2 and the Bills at number 1. So, yeah, there's not really any movement in this category at all. It's the same as last week because 3 of the 5 teams in this category were on bye, and the 2 that weren't both won their games. So there's literally nothing to move right now. It's just, oh yeah, this is what I thought we were going to see from the Super Bowl contenders. So there it is, guys. That's this week's Power Rankings. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll feature the best ones in my next video, like this one from Cole08, who simply said, "Skull!" And, you know, short, simple, to the point, but fair enough, and I just appreciate new people commenting, so I always want to point out when, you know, somebody new shows up. I'm obviously not going to be able to get to that every time, but in this particular case, you know, it gives me a chance to talk a little bit more about the Vikings, right? Like I said, the Vikings might not be winning games in sexy, impressive ways, but they are winning, and that makes it hard to argue with them, you know, in the top category right now. We'll see if they can keep that up, but either way, I'm happy to see all the new people in the comments, Cole08. I hope you're enjoying the content so far, my man. If you want to see more, you can always find more of what I do at KylePhelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, the Battle of Ohio podcast, which is on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, ATBNetwork.com, which is, you know, they're supporting me being able to do all these streams and everything like that, so I really appreciate them, and I just want to give them a shout out because of that. And right here if you subscribe. But that's all I've got this week, guys. I'll leave y'all, as always, with a hootie!